Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Glad to see you here at the Xtrades FOMO live stream. We call it the FOMO live stream because the only thing you should have FOMO about is missing these pre-market trade planning and review sessions. So, hope everybody is doing well today. What's up, Strife? Good to see you. Good morning. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Good to see you here on the YouTube side of the house. I am going to continue to, at least for now, share this stuff over on the Xtrades side of the house, or the Discord side of the house, I should say. That being said, that is going to probably wrap up here in the, I would say probably like by the end of this month. We'll look to just exclusively have these done via YouTube and won't be sharing them to the Discord any longer. So for those of you who might be checking in or watching on Discord, make sure that you are coming over to the YouTube streams to keep following these FOMO live stream pre-market sessions. So, what's up, Deidre? What's up, Unknown Reviews? Good to see you all here. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Excuse me. Sorry if I cough every once in a while. I'm still kind of trying to finish fighting off whatever this little bug was I had over the weekend and Monday that has just had me, constantly coughing, essentially, which hasn't been the greatest thing ever, but I think for the most part it's pretty close to being in the rear view. So I'm going to take a look at a few things here pre-market. I was also looking at my supply and demand zones here on ES. I was actually getting ready to draw this, but then I realized I needed to get the stream started. So let's get this in so we can talk about things with all of our supply and demand zones in place. So where are we at with things from a market perspective? Well, clearly, there was a very temporary but positive reaction to what Jerome Powell had to say yesterday, and with what happened with the FOMC rate decision. Again, they held rates steady. They still aren't happy with the inflation data, which is no shock to anybody who's been following the narrative on any of this stuff. I think the market is still anticipating rate cuts at some point this year. I think the number of cuts is starting to be priced into a lower number of cuts this year. Yeah, I mean, here's the interesting part about it. I'll share this with you guys real quick, just looking at things through the SPY plan that I posted yesterday. We had this huge, why does that not look right? That's why, for MNMD. So we essentially shot up through all the price targets and then some, and then came right back down into this sort of range. We saw some interesting dips below the put range. Maybe I should have been a little bit more focused on the pre-market low as a potential put entry, but looking at some of the historical moves below 545, it definitely looked like it would open up a decent amount of room to the downside. But again, knowing that we had that FOMC rate decision coming out in the afternoon, getting into anything too heavily or expecting anything other than chop and weird price action until 2 p.m. and after was probably, you'd need to consider all those factors, right, when you think about going into a trading day, if something like that's happening in the afternoon. So anyway, yeah, we shot right up through all those price targets, came right back down essentially into the range and just finished right kind of where we spent most of the day. However, we do see now that sort of that volatility has played out, things have cruised back to the upside, and we're now testing that PT3 as resistance from yesterday's plan. So essentially it looks like SPY is continuing to use those same levels that we were watching yesterday, but obviously there will be a new iteration of the plan for you guys this morning that takes all of that into account. And that will, of course, go into the watch options watch list over in our Discord. Pardon me, like I said, still dealing with this cough a little bit. So from a futures perspective, 333 SMA still on the downtrend, 200 trying to curl up here on the 1 hour. Would like to see that 200 crossing back above the 333. We did hold this demand zone that we recently established. However, we also rejected the supply zone, and honestly, just now noticing this 51.27.25 level is an old fib extension from before SPY ever broke out, or before I should say ES ever broke out into the 5,000s. I did some fib extensions for it. This 51.27 25 was one of those fib extensions. We hit that pretty much dead on and rejected. Also in that recently established supply zone. So now we're seeing a little bit more of a measured move to the upside, trying to kind of grind through to the upside here on ES. So keep things on watch. What I'd really like to see for a potential another test of 51.27.25 is a break over 50.94 from a futures perspective. So keep that in mind as you look at trading SPY, SPX, and maybe just taking bullish or bearish positions across the market. We're kind of running up into some potential turbulence up here, but over 50.94 looks like things could open up, and again try for another test of that 51.27.25. So decent little opportunity in there. What's up, Red? Good morning to you. Good to see you here. So anyway, that's things from a futures perspective. Let's go back and just circle back to our member selected tickers that we did over the weekend, that I put together for you guys, I should say, over the weekend. First one that we had was NVIDIA. We talked about this one on Tuesday's live stream. Again, I said kind of go back to using the plan, even though we had this little bit of a fake out, again, early into the trading day on a Monday. Generally speaking, I like to watch the first 15 to 30 minutes play out, see what's what before I go trying to chase any kind of trade. So a little bit of a fake out to the downside there. Ultimately did wind up for a stop out, but we talked about it on Tuesday's live stream. We were back within the range, and I said, okay, this plan still looks good. I think we just had a little bit of a fake out to start the week off early into the trading day there on Monday. And sure enough, the plan has played out since then. So Tuesday, after we discussed this one pre-market, we did get the breakdown. Nice back test. Neptune fully bearish here. Ultimately pushed things down to PT1 and then on down below PT1 to PT2 and PT3 plus before we got the pump with the FOMC stuff that was happening yesterday. Ran us right up into that 333 SMA. Again, one of my favorite moving averages to watch on just about every time frame. Ran right up into that, rejected. Now trying to hold this bullish flag here on NTS. We also have this 823.73. That was PT3 from the member selected tickers that I posted on Sunday evening. That held going into after hours yesterday, and we're trying to push back up, rejecting PT1 here a little bit, and still below that 333 SMA. Again, one of my favorite moving averages, especially here on the 5-minute. So I think if we can get a break back above 848, we could see NVIDIA try to recover and maybe push for that 862.03 put entry. That what was support should now be resistance now that we have the 333 out of the way, which is what caused that rejection prior to getting up there yesterday. I think that we should make it all the way up to 862.03 based on the levels we have on watch currently. So that's NVIDIA and where we're at with that one currently. Microsoft, kind of similar scenario. We talked about this one pre-market Tuesday, said, hey, listen, stick bearish on this thing. We did get the breakdown, so member selected tickers were posted Sunday. Breakdown, back test of resistance. SMAs were still trending down. Neptune's been ultimately bearish on it the whole way through. So we talked about this one Tuesday. I said if you weren't already in on that back test there yesterday, look for a break below and back test of 499. That happened as well. We got the break below, a couple of back tests there, ultimately down to PT1, just shy of PT2 there, and then came up back test to PT2, down to PT3 plus for puts, all within the day there on Tuesday. So congrats if you followed that plan. I know a couple of people reached out and said that they appreciated me kind of covering this one and they were able to execute on the plan. So congrats if you did follow the Microsoft plan here. Now it's trying to hold PT3 for puts as support and trying to push back to the upside here. Kind of a similar look as NVIDIA. We do have this PT1 that was support acting as resistance here. So would like to see that out of the way back over 398.55 for a potential test of 499, call it 401, where we found a rejection there yesterday. So anyway, Microsoft, keep this one on watch. Let's take a look at IWM. This one did play out. We only got to PT1 here for puts. Again, that can happen. I talk about that. Make sure you're taking profits at these price targets and moving your stops up. Sometimes PT1 is all you'll get, especially with this Neptune setup here where we flip things back bullish and that key buying pressure lined up pretty much dead on with our PT1 there at 195. So really, really nice confluence there to potentially catch a bounce off of. And if you did take a shot at that, ran all the way up to the call entry and rejected. So now we're back kind of in the range. So keep this one on watch. This one could play out to the upside or the downside using the same plan levels, in my opinion. So keep this on watch. Again, we're looking for calls over 299, puts below 196.54, especially with that 333 confluence right there. If we break below that again, could see continuation to the downside. And for those of you who are in our Discord community and our Xtrades subscribers, you have this plan in the options watch list with all of the levels called out and details in there for you. So make sure you're keeping this one on watch. Tesla, we did on Tuesday's pre-market live stream. We saw a breakdown below the put entry. Definitely looked like a confirmed break. Never got back above the stop loss, and then gave us a more of a clean back test there going into the close on Tuesday. Ultimately, has consolidated a little bit between the put entry and this PT1 for puts. Still on the bearish side of the plan. Does have some SMA support happening down here just below, but ultimately Tesla's still looking pretty bearish to me as long as it's below 184.78. So keep this one on watch. Continue to keep your eye on it. And then My Medicine, this one was a request also on Tuesday's live stream. Has pretty much played within the range, hasn't really given us an entry to either side of either of our trade plans, so we're still looking for a break above 986 to go long with calls or shares, or looking for a break below 876 to go short or take puts. All right, I think that covers all of our recaps. Let's get to some of your requests from this morning. Unknown reviews, ticker request for LNG. Deidre wants to know about Canopy and Meta. So let's take a look at some of these tickers. Let's get some trade plans going here this morning. All right. First one was LNG. Doesn't ring a bell. Yeah, I've never heard of this one before. Cheniere Energy. Let's see what Cheniere Energy is doing. Earnings tomorrow, kind of a low volume ticker. But let's take a look. Let's see what we can't figure out as far as a trade plan goes. All right. And is this kind of current, I'm guessing, all-time highs? Yeah. Okay. Good to know. And for now, I'm just going to hide my indicator so I can focus on price action and price action alone. So let's nail down some support and resistance levels here. That's always step one in my world. So I'm looking at something I've never really analyzed before. Yeah, that is an interesting level right there. Interesting double bottom here. Also some resistance tests back that way. Yeah, that's an interesting level. This is an interesting top that we're going to want to keep an eye on. I don't think we're going to need anything below 120.27, so we'll stick with this range and above. Lots of bottoming there, but not an established level, at least not on the weekly, so we'll keep an eye on that as we go through this process. That looks like a good level, though. That's an interesting one, too. Set up. There we go. Yeah, I think we do have an actual level right in there too. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's, gosh, I'm guessing if this is low volume, general, probably not going to have a ton price action from an extended hour standpoint. So let's just stick to regular trading hours on this one specifically. Oh, let me figure out that one placeholder level. It's always where I like to start when I change time frames. Yeah, there is a level. It's a little bit lower, and it's right about here. Another interesting one, but not, excuse me, not able to totally confirm here on the daily chart. All right, let's zoom out a little bit. Get some more perspective here. Daily level in there. Oops, there we go. Let's see, what else do we got? So set right there. Yeah, there is a level hanging out right about there. 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 Yeah, I may not capture them all in every time frame because time is of the essence while we're doing these, but I think we get a pretty good idea of what the key levels are to watch as we go through this process. Levels a little bit. No, yeah, it is right about there actually. Yeah, like that level. Of course, if you guys have any questions about anything that I'm looking at or just trading in general that you want me to kind of wax poetic on, whoops, while I work on this first trade plan, please feel free to shoot those messages to me in the YouTube chat. And I will do my best to walk and chew gum or chart and talk simultaneously. It's an interesting little flip in here that I think we're going to want to keep on watch. All right, let's see where that puts us with the current price. All right, I think we're pretty good. Just checking this range real quick. It seems kind of broad for there to not be some kind of support and resistance hanging out in here. Yeah, I do like that level actually. All right, and this one. Okay, so let's take a look at the hourly chart. Let's go ahead and start putting together this trade plan on LNG. Also, be mindful, earnings tomorrow, pre-market, so be very careful swinging anything because you will be swinging into an earnings report. Keep that in mind. All right, so we'll fill in the blanks as needed here on the hourly chart, but let's figure out what we want to do with this trade plan. All right, I think I'm looking at, yeah. Now that's kind of tight though. That looks a little better actually. Yeah, I like that. All right, so I think what we're looking for here on LNG is a break over this 160.50 level. That opens up this little window of opportunity with a smart stop here at 159.33 up to 161.97 just to get things started. Let's see where this rejection is coming from, if this is an actual... There's also still a gap to fill up to this 164.21 level. And this prior rejection right here looks like it's a rejection of essentially, well, it's a little bit higher than that. It looked like it was going to be closer to that gap entry than it actually is. But there is a level here that we are going to watch. I don't think we're going to use it for this particular trade plan, at least not at the moment. Yeah, I say we look for this gap to fill up to 164.21 over 161.97. If that gap can fill and it can continue up after that, we could very well see a shot. Could be a little bit higher, but not significantly higher. So we'll stick with this higher time frame daily level up here at 166.10. So I like that for an upside trade plan. Downside, testing the key buying pressure here on Neptune at the moment. But there is this weekly level down here, 155.33, that I think is what we should wait for to potentially look to go short or play for downside. Question is then, I like this as a first price target, down to 152.96. Stop loss is my only thing that I'm a little bit on the fence about. I just feel like that's opening up a little bit too much loss potential on this trade for the downside plan, but at 157.58 is a pretty strong resistance. However, there is this recent flip, or hold so far actually, this resistance, what was resistance as support. So you know what? I think we're going to use this as our stop loss average down. Got our first price target in place, second price target. Let's see how far back we have to go to find this guy. All right, here we go. So do we already have the level we need, or is it somewhere in the middle here, which I think it is. I would shoot for this 151.81, second price target, third target, just looking at some of these prior moves through this range. Yeah, it's probably sitting right about here at 150.07. I think that would be smart PTs 2 and 3. All right, so this is what the trade plans look like. Let's get these posted. We'll recap these real quick, and then we'll move on to the next plan, the next request. Downside, short position. Come on, get back in the right spot there. There we go. All right. Actually, I need to copy the link. Here we go. So this is the LNG trade plans. And also here, putting this over in the options watch list in our Discord. Again, remember, earnings pre-market tomorrow. Let's see if anybody's chatting it on here. All right, so what we're looking for here on LNG is a break over 160.50. That should give us targets at 161.97, 164.21, and 166.10 with a stop loss average down at 159.33. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 155.33. That should give us targets at 152.96, 151.81, and 150.07, with the stop loss average down at 156.89. There you go. Unknown reviews. That is your LNG trade plans. Best of luck to you and anybody else that decides to pursue these. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Deidre wants to take a look at either Canopy or Meta. Let's see. I know marijuana tickers have been, cannabis tickers, whatever you want to call them, have been on the move with this potential rescheduling of marijuana from, I forget if it goes from Schedule 3 to Schedule 1 or Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, something like that. Essentially, they're going to take it out of the same category as stuff like meth, which makes sense. But anyway, let's see where this is sitting, just to see if we've got kind of some good price action and data that we can use to come up with some plans here for Canopy. Some interesting spikes and rejections up into this range too. Overall, it's been pretty bearish since July of 21. All right, let's work on this Canopy plan, because this could be a good one and an easy one to trade with shares. It's not crazy expensive. So let's start off with our weekly chart. That's where I generally like to start. And again, for now, we'll hide the indicators just so I can focus on price action and nothing but price action. This is an interesting level. Interesting to see what happens if and when, and also do we get any more confirmation? Oh, that's right about where that rejection happened, actually. So that's definitely a good one to watch. This level's probably sitting right about here from a weekly perspective. Let's see. I think this is sitting more like right there. That. This is kind of minimal touches there, but I think there is a level. I don't think can't be. Yeah, we've never been down below that $3 and some change. That's all-time lows at this point, and that may well be the case depending on how this rescheduling thing plays out. Soon it will probably happen. And then we've got kind of our all-time low down here. All right, I think that probably does it from a weekly standpoint. Let's just make sure, though. There is some price data in here. I don't know if 17 is a level we're going to need to be, or price range we're going to need to even be watching with where it's currently at. It is, it's not the cleanest level I've ever seen, but there's something sitting right here. All right, let's take a look at this from a daily perspective. All right. That's an interesting, yeah, there is a level there. Yeah, let's see, I think we got something, yeah, right about there. And here, kind of tight little range there between that weekly and daily level, but for a ticker that's trading in the $6 range, 30 cents is actually, believe it or not, kind of a decent little range when something's that low, just from a percentage standpoint. That's interesting. I think that level's there. I'm just surprised this rejection's just shy of it. But it's what it is. I'm not going to force it. All right. I don't think we're going to have a lot of, yeah, and this is also very low volume, sporadic movement. Early days of the MJ sector kicking off, probably. Nobody wanted to rush in, which doesn't surprise me. All right. I think we're pretty good. Let's just check. I don't think we're going to need a level this high as far as the call side of this plan goes. But there is something hanging out up there. All right. Let's take a look at this 4-hour chart real quick. Seems like there's something right about here, but I'd like a little bit more confirmation. Yeah, I think there is something there. I'm not going to go back super far to try to track it down, but there's something there. Also be interested to know if we can find anything, or if there's just kind of a big area where Canopy has not established a lot of support resistance, but there's one. That's not an exact level, but there's something pretty close to that. I'd be willing to put some money behind that. Let's see. There's not a lot of other price action, and what is there is very low volume, sporadic. Not going to be all that helpful. All right. So I think we're at a good spot, just about. Yeah, there's a level sitting right there. Definitely one right there. Let's see if this proves out. Yeah, there's something sitting right there. Okay. So let's flip our indicators back on. We'll fill in the blanks here on the hourly chart. Let's put this plan together, though. All right. Interesting confluence here at this 1194 level. And if we can get over that, I think we take a shot at this 1434. Still a fair value gap to close there too. Up to 1434, then 1574. Clearly we would not want to ignore that top action rejection right there. Over 1574, question becomes, do we shoot for 1868 and go for the weekly level? There's a chance at it, but I think we err just slightly on the side of caution. Shoot for 1776 versus stretching too much for that 1868 level. It's also an interesting, just below this weekly support and resistance, flip of resistance to support. I think it does make sense to give that just that little bit more room, honestly. I like that as a stop loss average down. Downside, again, interesting little confluence down here with our SMAs. Question becomes, where does the downside really kind of open up? No sense in getting in just to have a, price target just on the other side of your entry level. But it's a little choppy in this range. What I'm leaning toward You know what? No, we're good. I know what we're going to do. Take this as our call entry. We'll share stop loss with the upside trade plan. It's going to be a tighter first price target though, but that's okay. Tighter stop loss, tighter first price target. Second price target down here at this weekly level. And then third price target down here at 753. That looks pretty solid to me, actually. Seems a little bit skewed, but again, because we have a smaller reward area, it makes sense to have a smaller risk area, in my opinion, versus having a larger reward area, larger risk area. Makes that okay. Definitely a little bit lopsided, though, in these plans as far as size of the moves that we're looking for upside and where the stop losses are versus the size of the moves and where the stop losses are to the downside. But that's what the chart says, so we go with what the chart says. We keep our bias or any kind of expectations out of the mix, right? Focus on the charts above all else. So these are the CGC trade plans. And let me get this over to the options chat options watch list over in our Discord. CGC trade plans. All right, so, and then Deidre had another one, Meta. Got a couple of minutes. Can I squeeze out a quick Meta trade plan? Holy smokes, Meta's got clapped on that earnings report. We're really struggling down here now. Honestly, I don't think there's been a ton of support and resistance, established in this range. Kind of shot up on one earnings report and shot down on the other. So let's do this. Maybe we can come up with some fib retracement levels that could be helpful. Pretty clear rejection. Off that candle there. Let's see what that shows us. So we don't really have a lot of price data to work with down here. Could probably fill in a couple of blanks though, maybe. Like this one. Don't know if that'll be a factor or not, but we'll keep an eye on it. All right, so how do we want to handle this Meta setup? It's a little bit wonky. Weak break there on this hourly chart. Rollover of the flag. Does have overall the nice bullish trend ribbon going just below. So that would be a good stop loss. My real head scratcher looking. Oops. It's not a drawn level yet. The head scratcher for me on this one is going to be trying to find the smart call entry. Do you have this old 453.61 level? Yeah, I like that as an entry. That does look like it would open up room. 468.63. Looks like we're about 1-to-1 risk reward. Shooting up to that as our first price target, second price target. Whoops. Sitting right there. Third price target. I say we take a shot at this 488.27 level. That all looks pretty solid to me. Downside. Kind of like this 426.79. That's an old fib extension. It's a potential entry point. Yeah, and I think this 406.24, that was kind of a very momentary all-time high rejection before it had earnings that just blew the roof off of things. Whoops. So, let me get back to that. I think that would be an interesting level to watch. It's certainly not established. This 406.24, we're going to want to keep on watch for sure. Actually, I'm going to make this a different color. We'll go with orange for now. All right, so this bounces just a little bit above this old fib extension. And again, fib extensions, not an exact science. Not going to have really much to work with there. So I'd be willing to say that maybe my fib extension is slightly off. Again, not an exact science, not anywhere near the drawing of support resistance. It's also not a truly established level, so I'm going to kind of leave it in place with this orange color just so I know to kind of keep an eye on it and figure out if we can't really nail that down. So I think we're looking PT3 at this full 100% retracement level. Third price target with our entry being up here at 426.79. And I think we share a stop loss with the call side. So this is actually, I think, good to go. We did get it done. How about that? All right, so let's talk through this real quick. Get these links posted. Let's get all this old trade plan stuff cleaned up real quick while I'm looking at it before I post the screenshot so it doesn't get confusing. Same thing up here. Let's clean these guys up. Okay. Yep, that looks pretty good. So here's what we're looking for on Meta. And let's post this in our Discord as well. All right, so what we're looking for here on Meta is a break over 453.61. That should give us targets at 468.63, 476.81, and 488.27 with a stop loss average down at 438.96. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 426.79. That should give us targets at 413.08, 406.24, and 399.13 with a shared stop loss average down there at 438.96. Unknown reviews, I'm getting ready to work on the SPY plan. It's not done yet, and I will post that in our Discord. It's one of those things that is a big benefit to those who are Xtrades members and active in our Discord. So if you're not there yet, please make your way there. Come join. I do want to keep that something that's kind of exclusive to our Xtrades Discord members. So it will be there in the options watch list momentarily in the next 10 minutes, I'd say. So with that, we are about 15 minutes out from the market open. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream this morning. Thank you so much for joining me. We will be back next Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and back on our regular schedule for the foreseeable future of every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Xtrades FOMO live streams. Get your pre-market game right. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys again for joining me. I will see you guys in the chats in our Xtrades Discord community. So with that, as we also always say here on the FOMO live stream, plan your trades, trade your plans, go out there, get some green, secure those bags. I will see you guys around in the chat. Have a fantastic day, and back here next Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you then. Take care. Talk to you soon.